Okay, welcome everyone to this tutorial where I'm going to be showing you a vest generator that I made, which I call it the vest translate. Right now what you're seeing on the screen are some bunch of cloth models that I made from existing base mesh that I downloaded from CG Trader, and I wanted to test a vest generator that I made to make these clothes that you're seeing right now. And as you can see, the deformation of these clothes really tell that each of these clothes were made for that model. Like, it was made so that it can tightly fit that model. There was no sculpting, there was just pure modeling that was done to them. Like, this one here was for a teenage or a woman of a certain body, and this one was purposely a teenager. This one for a certain bigger mother, sort of a bigger woman, fatter woman. This one was the only male that I wanted. This one had variation, that's why I made for female base meshes, and this one here was for the male, one male that I had. So this first generator doesn't only work for female, but it also works for male, and I'm going to show you how to use it. There are two ways. I'm going to show you the first one, which is a bit long, then I'll tell you the second one. So by demonstrating, we're going to be making this clothing, a cloth that looks similar to this one, by using this model that I got from CG Trader. And this is perfect because it came with an armature, and since I deformed that armature to a T-pose and just apply the modifier, we can use it for modeling. So I'll start off by hiding these clothes, and this blend file you can get it through a Google Drive folder that I will link in the description or in the comment section below. And if you like this video, please consider subscribing, commenting, and liking the video, which means a lot to the channel and its growth. So I'll start off by hiding the collection, the final product collection, and I'll show you the first method on how to use it. Okay, so I'm going to start in by adding a mesh cycle like that, and I'm going to tab into the edit mode and grab this along the Z to the neck area. Now this geometry node utilizes cloth pattern, the cloth pattern for a vest, making a sort of bodice pattern. If you're familiar with making clothes, like if you're a tailor of something, or if you've ever watched this series that I found on YouTube called The Tailor's Approach to Cloth Sewing, which is a very fantastic series if you're trying to learn how to make clothes, especially shirt, trouser. Not only that, but it'll be showing you on clothes how to make clothes using patterns, which is something that most 3D artists don't do. Like, they assume the sleeves are just some cylinders, but in the actual sense they're not. Tailors know how to deform a fabric so that they can bring suitable cloth appearance, and this geometry node does some of it here. So you're going to be needing 5 cycles, one for the measurement of the neck, then for the bust area, the waist area, the crouch area, and the armhole. Okay, so this cycle will be for the neck area. I'll just scale it down, okay, and grab it along the Z somewhere here and rotate it along the Y, along the X, I mean, just a bit. Then I'll add in another mesh cycle. Just grab it along the Z till it reaches the bust area and scale it, just like that, and add another one along the Z to the waist area, then add in another one to the level of the crouch or the hips area. Then I'm going to duplicate this one and rotate it along the Y by 90, and this will be for the armhole of the actual vest. and I'll just scale this a bit, grab it here, scale it like that. Something like this looks good. So we're done with the cycles. Next up will be for the lines. Okay, so what we're going to do right now is I'm just going to first of all look from the top and add in a mesh plane and scale it along the Y by 0 and just merge by distance, and we'll be already removed 2 vertices, and just grab this along the Z to the level of the shoulder and just scale it like this, and shift D and rotate it along the Y by 90, and you cannot see it because it is within the mesh, and just grab it along the Y and something like this. So just grab it along the Z, just positioning so that it can look like the cross that we are about to make. So I'm just going to grab this vertex somewhere here, grab this one to the level of the shoulder, to the level of the shoulder line somewhere there, and take one vertices and just duplicate it somewhere here and extrude it from the area of the waist to the bust area. Then I'm just going to link this up and duplicate them, and from the hips. Okay, and I'm just going to select this part, grab it down to make a certain more suitable color, or maybe crop this one somewhere like that. It's not bad. So what next is to add the geometry node and add in the vest translate. Okay, now first of all, actually have to select this, tell the geometry node that we are working with this mesh right here, which is I renamed it to avatar one. It was called chubby women, a woman chubby, actually, something like that. Then we just have to tell this geometry node that we are working with this mesh. So just select it like that, and to know that we're working with that one. And now there are 3 views, which is the wrap view, shape, and this one final cloth. Then there is the cycles identities and lines identity. That is how we are going to be communicating with this geometry node to tell them this is for the neck circumference, the bust circumference, the waist circumference, and the hips area and the armhole. And the lines is those lines which are we already made to communicate in order to bring that shape of a vest that we actually need. So I'm just going to click on the identities, and these identities should be vertex group. So I'm going to tab in back into the edit mode and go to this objects that are properties and add in vertex group. The first one, I'll just call it cycles, and the second one I'll just call it lines. Okay, so I'm just going to go to the geometry node and I'll select cycles, and the lines I'll select lines. Okay, then going back to the data, object data properties, starting off with the cycles, the one at the neck area should be 0.1. These numbers are very important to cram, and they are not actually, it's just you should go vertically downward, except the armhole should be the last. The first one should be this, the neck should be 0.1. Okay, then you just click on assign, and you can see it's at wraps there because it's already assigned, and you assigned it with a proper vertex number, vertex weight. You select for the bust area, you should select 0.2, and select for the waist area should be 0.3, and for the hips area should be 0.4. okay, like that. It should just be 0.4. It doesn't matter 0.4 watt or 0.3 watt. Mostly when I say 0.4, it's 0.4. The numbers after that doesn't matter at all. Link that for armhole should be 0.5, and you assign that. Now we're done with the cycles. As you can see, they wrapped well, very well, except for the armhole, and I'll just scale it just a bit like that, and everything was wrapped well, and there's none that isn't intersecting inside. So now for the lines, we select that, and we will press N to see if I assigned it correctly, and I'll select this one. The shoulders should be 0.1, assign, and from the shoulder to the bust area should be 0.2, and you assign that, and you link that, and from the bust to the waist should be 0.3. Okay, I actually went accurate on that one. I did not expect that. From the waist to the hip should be 0.4. And after that, we are all done. What I am going to do now is just first of all hide this, and something that you should not, before we go to the other view, see the position of this line here, which is the shoulder line. It's very important to its relationship with the area that it crosses over, this, the one at the very top, which is the neck. So the neck circumference is, or the neck cycles you can call it, it's very important in its location. Its position is going to determine the back part of this, of the vest, and the front part of the vest. So I'm just going to select this and just grab it, and just grab it along the Y towards the middle. I want the part forward to be larger actually compared to the part behind, and something like this looks decent. And let us just go to the other view, put something like that, maybe bring the avatar back and go to the shape view. And as you can see, okay, I went direct to the final, but this is the shape view where we see how the cloth is going to be formed before the sewing process, the filling these curves with the face, retop and stuff like this, so that it becomes quads fit for deformation. There are other parts, and as you can see here, there is a slope here, and there is this part which is called the bust shape ignorance. When you set it to 1, there will be this slope, which I set it to default, and then there is this 0, which there won't be a slope, and it will be considering the bust area, and there. So, and then we have the Y offset scale, which has a default value, but of certain value that I kept. But if you keep increasing it, you can see the parts forward and back become more separated from each other, and that didn't depend. You might not want it to be that separated. You can reduce the scale depending on your model, because your model might be thinner with smaller volume, so you might want sometimes to reduce that, because you are going to sew it, and the faster the better sometimes. And then this the Z offset, whereby, you know, take it up a bit. I set some default values, but it might not be enough, so you can take it up a bit or lower a bit. Okay, then there's the next scale, you know, just to increase the value. If you see that it is too big or too small, neck scale, bust scale, hip scale, just to reduce the size. Okay, then there is the shade smooth. I think that is very self-explanatory. So what I'm going to do is just increase this bust area to something 1.08, that I find it better. Then go down to the final cloth view, and you can see everything is sewed. And if I just go to the wireframe view, you can see everything is quads, but it's not actually fully quads. There are some triangles here in the process of making the retopo of this mesh so that it can be fit for deformation. It sometimes has to make triangles, so that's maybe that you can call it that the bad part of this mesh is that part that it makes triangles. But triangles are sometimes not bad for deformation of clothes, at least from my experience that I saw. So next up is just clothing, which is mostly audio, because this geometry node is for the sake of forming the vest to be that form the geometry ready for cross simulation. And I am actually planning on making it to be a shirt generator in the future. So I just want to see if you guys think that this method of making cloth is not actually that bad, and maybe I can do more. You can tell me in the comments if you like this method or not, and I'll get the response. Okay, let me just remove the wireframe and head over to the cloth simulation. So first of all, I already gave this model a collision before, and what I advise is that make sure your thickness, which is, where is it, this is the cloth, and make sure your thickness somewhere, yeah, soft body and cloth, make sure your outer thickness is small enough, but I'm going to just set it to 0.04, something like this. And for the cloth, let's just add in the cloth, and settings that I like to set this speed multiplier to 0.4, something like this. And then other settings are just like checking the SU on. You can keep 0 so that Blender can choose for itself the amount of sewing this cloth needs. I'm going to set it 20. Then object distance, I'm just going to set 0.03. And for the self collision, to the distance, I'm going to set 0.025. And I think that's enough. I can just play this to see how the cloth is going to be formed. Okay, at frame 58, this is how the cloth appeared in the very end, and for me it looks quite satisfying in terms of its shape and all that. It's not all that bad, and I admire it because it used the measurement that it got from the model. But something that I came to not like, but first of all, let me just add in a subdivision surface and show you that thing. This is something that I experienced that I honestly don't like. So I sewed this mesh, and I see that there are these lines of these openings that you may like or not, but on my side I didn't actually enjoy looking at those lines, and I just wanted them to be sort of filled, fill that gap. So this is actually what I did. Afterwards, I just adding another geometry node result. It's very short. I'll just show you how to make it. I'll click on the new, go to the geometry node workspace, and let's just fill these gaps. This is a very nice way to see how mesh topology nodes is gonna work. So I'm going to set the position, and I'm going to add in an edge of vertices, edge of vertex. I'm going to connect the weight to the face count of the edges, edge neighbors face count, and here I'm just going to connect equal to 0. That's actually what I want. I'm going to set field at index, and I'm going to change this to boolean and connect it there, connect it to that place. And this one, I'm just going to press shift control D, and this time I want actually a vector, and this is not actually an point, it's of an edge, and I want to connect here vector of every edge from the value, and to connect the position, then just connect this value to the, like that. You see this, that problem is sort of eliminated even at the very top. It might not work for all cases, and I don't, sometimes you might want to do like something like merge by distance, something like this, and it becomes more smoother. And sometimes you just want to unmute this, because you know seams are more natural actually in a cloth. I feel like leaving a seam is actually good, that to show that this cloth was actually sewed, not just, you know, it's not just a model. Living seams are present in a cloth. Okay, cloth don't just come and fall from the tree, no seams, no anything. Cloth have seams, okay, especially vests. Unless you're Tarzan, then yeah, I guess your clothes might not have some seams. And other than that, and that was all. That was the vest generator that I made completely free. You can grab it off the description or the comment section. I'll pin it somewhere there. You won't get the model, but you will get the geometry node, and I already saved it as an asset. You can just click the link and you have the blend file. You already have the vest translate. And if you like this method and you want me to proceed it to even more, make like a shirt and have this procedural feeling of making it that fits perfectly, although we normally just buy clothes, we just choose the sizes, don't actually measure them, we don't actually tell them to measure them, they make it for us. But anyways, if you like this video, like, subscribe, it means a lot to me, and have a good stay.